Hi guys, welcome back to Reading Between the Lines with Tan the Man. I have with me today the one and only Elijah from Upland. It's great to have you, Elijah, with us.
Thanks, man. It's good to be here. How you doing?
I am great. This is the episode 7 of Reading Between the Lines. And today we're going to talk about a lot of things how Elijah came to Upland, how he has been involved in the metaverse, his journey through Sandbox, Decentraland, him creating the RealNodeLA, which he's pretty famous and well known for, and many other rapid fire questions as we do. So, with that, Elijah, even though a lot of people know who you are, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a brief introduction about yourself, please.
Sure. Again, you can call me Olijah. I founded the Real Node LA located in El Sereno, Los Angeles. I'm actually from Baltimore, Maryland, the United States. So, I've been in Upland since December the 15th of last year, 2021. And before then, I kind of wandered in from Sandbox and Decentraland, just looking over the metaverse space. As far as my background, I've been in the financial industry for more than 20 years. Um, I have few degrees, a bachelor's and a master's, MBA, and I'm a husband and a father of five. So that, any other
Yep.
questions?
I mean, so how did you discover Upland and when did you discover Upland?
I discovered Upland December 15th of last year, 2021. I found it on my journey through the metaverse. Initially, I think I saw one of Facebook's ads, one of Meta ads about the metaverse, and that was early on. So it kind of got me hungry for the metaverse. So I jumped out there looking and found Sandbox, Decentraland, created accounts in both of them, and decided what I liked about them. And I actually enjoyed it, even though it wasn't many people there. It wasn't an active metaverse, neither one of them. But I enjoyed the utility that they had in their homes. But the price of them was a little off. So, um, looking at that time when I was looking, one piece of virtual property was very expensive. So I looked over and for other virtual property options that were based on the real world. I think that's what I Google searched. Virtual property based on the real world, and Upland obviously came up. So I created an Upland account also, but still being in Sandbox and Decentraland, walking around, they had components about them that I wanted to bring to Upland. One specifically was being able to have YouTube in the community that you're in. So when you walk in and out of these houses, different videos are loading. So I said, what if you had, a YouTubers community? And that's what caused me to found the Real Node LA, where it's a YouTubers community. And I'd like it to be, you walk around and are able to, at the core of it, each of those properties have a YouTube video representing the person that's owning it.
Absolutely. So, talk me through what's going on in Elijah's head back in December last year. You're in Sandbox, you're in Decentraland. Why Upland? Why did you join? What was your conviction that said, look, Sandbox and Decentraland are great, but Upland is where I'm gonna make my future and the rest of the world. What made you motivate um, to come into Upland?
Well, I wanted what was going on in Sandbox and Decentraland. However, they weren't based on the real world, and I wanted something a little bit more mature and less gamified. So I wanted the metaverse, but I wanted it to be based on the real world, Matrix like, more Matrix style. So and just more mature. And I wanted to, I wasn't trying to pay $11,000 for one piece of land. So I got into Upland, and as soon as you download the app, you kind of into the mix of things before you know it. And I figured I can bring my drone because I fly drones, and I make drone NFTs. So I'd like to, another big intention for me to get into the metaverse space was to open up a aerial gallery for my drones. Drone NFT gallery where I can showcase my artwork and maybe other artists as well. And I wanted to bring that to Sandbox and Decentraland. Unfortunately, that was not feasible at the time. And looking at Upland, seeing what was going on over there, I decided to give that a shot.
Right. So and going back to your conversation where essentially even with our previous guests we've talked about having photos and videos within houses and stuff like that, right? And I am there with you. So if let's say Upland started that, what are the top three videos that you would like to show in your house?
The top in my personal home, I'd like to feature a movie I was in back in 2012. It was a a Christian film called After the Rapture, and I think that movie kind of touched close to home, kind of touched on my heart. So I'd like to feature that. I'd like to feature my drone videos in my home, and all of these on YouTube. So I'd like to feature my drone videos and different things like that. Personal that apply to me, but it will probably have a lot of drone content, aerial, scenery, scenic views, mountains, and just nice, calming videos.
Right, absolutely. um Let me ask you then, as we look at Upland, right? And within the last few days, a lot of changes have come. So you now need KYC for all the Spark hunts, everything that is going on there. Um, when you're looking, obviously as a community member, but also as a person who has been involved with Upland for almost a year, how do you see um, how do you see the KYC impacting the growth trajectory of Upland? Do you see um, more players coming in? Do you see a slower growth, less number of players coming in because you need KYC for all of the stuff? How do you see the KYC impacting the community as a whole?
Well, I think KYC should really be considered a good thing across the board, especially in this type of environment. Upland has said it a few times that they're more of a platform than a game, and in a sense where if this is a platform, these are our assets, and you'd want this platform, staying within regulation requirements, making customers KYC in order to interact with other customers. All of these things are important to keep this environment afloat. So yeah, I think that KYC it should definitely be implemented continuously.
Absolutely. And yesterday we came to know that Upland made a major change to treasure hunting, right? Instead of winning your Spark and waiting till Tuesday every week, you instantly get paid out your Spark. And I
Yes, you
see you
do.
nodding and I see that smile there. So what's your take on that?
Oh man, I haven't talked to a person that complained about it. I treasure hunted, and a spark just came through for me, one of the new ones, and it looked a little different. It looks slightly different from the last one, but when the spark hits your account, hits your profile immediately. I mean, it's a good thing, man. I mean, how would you rather wait till Tuesday, or would you rather have it now?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
So let me ask you, since you said that you do treasure hunt, what's your favorite city to treasure hunt in?
for my standard hunts, I do standards most of the month. I do participate in Spark Week. I definitely participate in Spark Week, but for standards, Santa Clara for right now. It was San Francisco. Um, I have one property in Santa Clara, but Santa Clara is just a comfortable city to do your standards in. As far as competitive, you will get wore out there. That's a 30-second city. So if it takes you longer than 20, 30 seconds to get a treasure, hang it up. But as
Right.
far as standards, it's a comfortable city to hunt in.
Absolutely. Let me then ask you a question. So if there is a new player and they're looking up to you for advice, and they don't know anything about treasure hunting, but they're like, oh, this sounds cool. I can win Spark, right? I want to try my hand at that. What's your advice to a new player that's considering treasure hunting, that's just starting out right now?
Sure. I give you a few tips, and these are tips that I do all the time. First important tip when you're doing your standard hunts, remember you have 5 minutes. That is a very long time. So take your time and be efficient. Efficient means that every time you send, try to send to the lowest cost property, meaning click around until you get the lowest cost property to send to, and B, also incorporate finding sends. So send to a low cost property that's near a send. That's the important part, that every time you move around, if you don't have a lot of properties in a city, you have to collect your sends along the way. And that makes your hunt more efficient at the end of the day. Um, so yeah, two, don't be scared to let your block explorer drift into the treasure. If you're close to it, you have the angle, you have 3 minutes left, let your block explorer drift directly into the treasure and save yourself a sin. And that'll give you more hunts at the end of the day. So
Right.
those are the top tips for now that I have.
Absolutely. And sort of building on this, there are dividing opinions on your second point, because some people say that if you send directly on the exact land where the treasure is, or almost very nearby, the chances of you winning a higher Apex reward or a Spark in standard treasures is higher. So how do you think that is just a rumor, or do you think there is actual substance to that? That instead of just drifting towards that treasure, it there may be some sort of advantages to sort of send to that property.
I don't know. I've drifted into a spark chest before, and I've sent a hole in one to a wooden upix chest. You know, sometimes you can get a hole in one if you get that good long distance send, and you just happen to land on that property. You know that. My whole point in saying is that I think the treasure could be predetermined as soon as you click start the hunt.
Absolutely. Let me then ask you one question. Since you said you have only one property in Santa Clara, right? Are you the person that would build out a treasure hunting map in a city, or are you the person that would go to a city and probably have one property or even none property, but treasure hunt in that city, and go from there? Because there's both approaches, right? Some people want to create a treasure hunt map. Some people are like, "Ah, I don't care, I'll just go and treasure hunt." So which one are you?
Well, I initially was the type of person to create a treasure hunt map. I have quite a few treasure hunt maps, some nice efficient ones, and eventually I just evolved to the point where I like Santa Clara the most. You can hunt there on the phone or on the PC. Now, since they announced changes to treasure hunting, I don't know if it's effective for me to create treasure maps going forward. So I have to wait until they announce how the new treasure hunting will be. And once they determine how the new treasure hunting will be as far as standards and tiered standards and things, then I'll decide if that's effective for me. But right now I'm just kind of pausing with that.
Absolutely. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you think what's being discussed is nice and you'd like to join the discussion, please comment below. And if you'd like to stay updated, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you. Also, you said that you sort of ran into a group who are in Baltimore and who are in Upland, right? Something like a real life support network, or a group of friends that are in Upland, and you guys have like local meetups and stuff like that. Um, how important or how useful is such a network, and do you think um, Upland should sort of encourage people around different cities to create such network. So, for instance, let's say someone's based out of San Francisco or London or Dubai or Delhi or Shanghai or Singapore, right? Do you think it is something that we as a community should consider and sort of uh, take that project upon ourselves to create like local communities, and so have like meetups or get together when new cities launch or whatever. So do you think that is something we should consider, and is there something that you think you have gained from that versus if you didn't have that?
Well, I'll tell you, the person that happened to be in Upland that was from Baltimore, and I actually went to high school with him and college. We actually went to high school and college together. Like, what are you doing in here, man? So it was no real need to like we talked on the phone. It's almost like he kind of literally called me on my phone, like, "What's up, man?" So we kind of just talked, rapped on the phone a little bit. As far as communities, and my other buddy that's in Upland, and I've known him for 10 plus years, so we know each other too. Um, but as far as communities and meeting up physically in real life and kind of tying that to Upland. Maybe. I don't know. I think we're kind of going into this digital economy where things are working their way to becoming virtual, and we're stepping towards mixed reality and AR as well as VR. And thinking that way, I think some of the future meetups will probably be in VR and AR and mixed reality. So we may meet up, but it may be me being here with my goggles on, and then you seeing my avatar, and you can see my expressions and such. But with everything that's going on, busy life, monkeypox, no, but just busy life and different things going on in the world, pandemics and such, it's best, some people a lot of people are opting to stay home.
Absolutely. So
But yeah.
as we're looking at the future of Upland, what's one development or feature that you're looking forward to in Upland?
I'm looking forward to when Upland is to the point where I can put on some VR goggles, and there you go. I'm in my house that I selected for Upland, and I step out my door and race cars are going by because my property is directly on a racetrack. And if I'm running a little late and I see the races whizzing by, and then I can speak to my neighbors because so many people over in the RealNodeLA are part of the Upland Cafe. So we all, a lot of people over there know each other, where they can just come out and literally look out their door and laugh and kind of say what's up. So I'm looking forward to that when it's normal, just as normal as it is to, and also even if you just picked up your phone and you're still in your home, you're looking around, almost an AR, but you can kind of look around and see the community that way too, without even having to have the goggles, the same experience. So just a more deeper, immersive experience with Upland I'm looking for that includes racing, events, cafe, hanging out, shop experiences, those deep experiences that would supplement gaming and television.
Absolutely. Um, so let me ask you one thing. And you said you talked about a little bit about the VR headsets, right? Um, are you in the camp, and okay, let me justify the question before we go there. Currently we as individuals are looking at computer screens or mobile phone screens almost 8, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, right? Because of which our eyesights are going down. You can see glasses on my eyes. That's because of looking at screens, right? And those screens are, let's say, a foot away from our eyesight, right? And still our vision's going down. Do you think there is a future for VR headsets where people are spending 8 hours a day in metaverse using VR headsets, because then you're significantly much closer, this close to your eye, and you have VR headsets? So do you think VR headsets is the future, or do you think holographic projections, where you can project whatever you have within, let's say, a metaverse, and also get a 3D render. Do you think that is the future? Because there's mixed camps, right? Some people think VR is the future. Some people think that holographic projections are the future. So what camp are you in?
Well, I think it all works together. When you look at the future is speculated through film and movies and such. So a lot of the future is speculated through movies like Ready Player One also on Avatar, where they use what you're talking about, that 3D mapping device that's on table that you can see with your bare eyes. So I think they'll work together in a sense where if we are together and we have that facility that you can open up some sort of 3D rendering out on the table, you'd be able to do so in a group environment with no equipment. That'll cost more because that's a corporate kind of thing to do until they make it available for local people. But if you need somebody to make an edit to that, maybe they can take those AR goggles while they're on the bus riding home, or while they're on the train riding home, and they're making edits to that same project remotely with AR and VR mixed reality. So I think it'll work. It has to work together.
Absolutely. So when you're looking at metaverse, and not only Upland, but yes, Upland, but metaverse has a bigger play, and even Web3. Do you think there is a future where people work a real job, a 8 hour shift job within the metaverse? And if so, how far out from today, from October, November 2022, is that?
Well, I think it'll be practical for them to use um, AR as a part of their work function. Now, being in VR all day, I don't know how healthy that is, and I don't know what studies have been run to show whether a 40-hour work week, over a year span, how that could affect a human. I don't know how that would go. But as far as being more efficient, I think AR, augmented reality, and mixed reality, where if you're wearing the glasses, these glasses exist. Instead of having a standard computer on your desk, you'd have a high speed 100-inch computer right in front of you. So I think the workspace would change. You know, the same as if you have a workspace now, wouldn't it be more effective to have a 100-inch computer right in front of you as opposed to this 20-inch monitor that's physical, that takes up space, if they can do the same exact thing? And you can still see the real world around it, but they just put a computer in there with
Yep, absolutely. All right, let me ask you this question. You're the founder of RealNodeLA. What's going on with RealNodeLA? What is RealNodeLA?
you. Oh man, what's not going on with the real Node LA? Everything that can be happening in the metaverse is happening over in the real Node LA, and that's on purpose, because I figured that most of the neighbors of the real Node LA wouldn't have access to cars right away, based on production times and just car availability in general. So you would need to have access to all of the events without needing transportation to these events. So that's why the Real Node LA has a core. A lot of the activities are centered around the core. And you ask what's happening in the Real Node LA, man, we have 9 manufacturing plants over in El Sereno. We have 3 showrooms. One of them is a large showroom. We have large factories coming. We have 2 sanctioned racetracks with the Upland Racing League (URL). And that the reason why that's important is because I asked just recently, I asked X1, is everybody going to be able to make a racetrack regardless of contests and holidays? And he said yes. He said he's not sure how soon it'll be, but it's going down. So we have 2 racetracks over in the Real Node LA. All kinds. We have a movie theater, a Block Explorer shop that got approved. The Real Node Block shop. We have a developer shop that got approved in the Real Node LA. So we're going to be bringing in layer two over in the real node. I mean, it's a lot of things can be happening over there in El Sereno.
Absolutely. So let me ask you one question that I almost ask every person I interview. We have a lot of different property structures. Do you think it would be a wise decision to have a property structure that is billboards and then lease those billboards out to someone like a Google Ads or Facebook Ads so that we can run ads um, within Upland, and especially tying that to the racetracks where you're racing and there can be dynamic ads that you have across the racetrack. Do you think that's a good idea?
Man, I think that's a phenomenal idea, and I think that's what a lot of the race commissioners have built their racetracks based on. Of course, that's how it's done in the real node LA. And I'm not going to say that we're the only node that does that, but definitely on the real node LA, preparing for that level of advertising to come in because we do want trackside advertising to bring in different sponsors, billboards, company logos, all kinds of things. So yeah, definitely. We want to bring in different companies, different financial institutions. We even have a business center in the real node LA. So we have an area, a corridor of the real node LA designated strictly for businesses. So, and it's actually trackside. So you have a business corridor that's trackside. So we want them to be able to advertise along the track and, basically bring in, promote the area and bring awareness to the area.
Absolutely. So let me also ask you one question. So when we look at the famous nodes within Upland, Portage Park comes at one of the topmost, most famous nodes, right? And they recently elected their mayor, Russell Envy, who most of the players know within Upland. Do you think there is going to be a mayor for the real node LA? And how soon can we expect one?
Sure, you can expect one back when it was formed, man. I'll step up and guide this horse so we can get it to where it's going to go. So yeah, you're looking at them right here. Um, so we want to get this thing going on. Not saying that I'll be doing it forever, but just to make sure that we can hold on to the ideas and fundamentals of why this node area was started. Definitely going to take leadership charge and just keep it moving.
Absolutely. So if you had the opportunity, and as mayor of the Real Node LA, if you had the opportunity to choose any one brand that comes to not only Upland but Real Node LA, right? Because you're representing Real Node LA. So if you had one brand that you could choose, which brand would you like to be the first brand to come to Real Node LA?
I'm gonna have to say it's between. If I had to say the first brand is gonna be between Discover and Capital One, and
Interesting.
the reason being is that there's so much lending going on, so much back alley lending going on in the metaverse, and I prefer for the neighbors to deal with licensed lenders so that they can stay protected, their information can stay protected. Different things like that. There's different levels of protection that comes from dealing with valid companies. So these type of companies, they have less strenuous credit requirements, I guess. So I would bring them in. They were the companies I remember when I was a freshman in college that were giving away credit cards, you know, to the freshman class. So I think I'd prefer someone to go out to a more legitimate company if they really intend on borrowing something, as opposed to, borrowing just back alley borrowing.
Absolutely. So when you talk about borrowing, is that borrowing within Upland or outside of Upland? Using Upland assets, of course.
I think that's more. I see the way I see this space going in the future, man. I see Upland as, I mean, it's modeled after the real world. So real world activities will come, I think will come in like money transfer companies, companies that can legitimately transfer cash. under the law in a legitimate fashion under compliance, I think companies like that will come into Upland and they'll need a space. So similarly, you're going to have these lenders that when let's say if cars are coming out and they're releasing a series one of this motorcycle, and that series one motorcycle costs $900, and this person, doesn't have it, but they want to begin to build their credit. What would be more beneficial for them to, and they're going to borrow it? Would you rather them borrow it from a back alley lender or actually send their block explorer to this property and begin an application?
Absolutely. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you think what's being discussed is nice and you'd like to join the discussion, please comment below. And if you'd like to stay updated, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you. So if we are to sort of look at lending and credit within Upland, right? And even renting and other stuff. Um, Escrow is one feature which is very important because, for instance, if I look at the way how mortgages work in real world, you put down the house as a collateral to borrow the loan, right? If similarly, if you want to mint a city and you want to just get a loan, you have to sort of put down your existing metaverse land as collateral to borrow against that, right? Or the future earnings from that land and the value of the land as well. So if you're looking at that from that angle, how important do you think is the feature of escrow, not only for the community, but for Upland to seriously take and execute on escrow um, as soon as possible? And um, from a person who's been involved for a while with RealNodeLA, when do you think realistically they would sort of launch the escrow services?
Well, realistically, we probably will see escrow services sometime next year, hopefully. Um, but we needed them sometime a quarter ago. I mean, we've been needing them all along for a variety of reasons. So yeah, we definitely could utilize escrow services for renting or for just package dealing, even if you wanted to jumbo package your properties and for those people that run into a financial situation and they need to just let those properties go, um, there should be escrow services that can help them with that,
Absolutely.
as well as for gaming. I mean, it's
Yep.
essential for gaming,
Yep.
like racing and things like that.
Absolutely. Do you think we have enough cities in Upland? Do you think we should launch more cities? Do you think we should slow down the release of new cities? What's your opinion on that?
Initially, I was kind of distraught because I felt like Upland was flooding the cities with too many properties, which made it hard to flip my properties. But that was when I was looking at it from a property flipping game. And to be honest, I'm not here for property flipping. So as the game began to really reveal its value to me, um, I no longer looked at flipping as something that was, a big part of my gameplay. I was preparing for the future part of the metaverse. So um flipping just, I need them. It's okay if they release more properties. They can release the whole earth, as far as I'm concerned, because that would be a complete metaverse. And that way, if you can actually geolocate yourself according to Upland. So in order for that level of metaverse to be released, they would need to literally release everything.
Right. So in that situation, what's one city that you would like to get released? International city, um, and even country if you'd like to have those two differently. But one city and one country you'd like to see release in Upland.
Okay, I gotta be honest. The one city that I go full throttle in, I mean full throttle, Baltimore, Maryland, USA. That's my hometown. I know quite a few people that would go full throttle here. I mean, it's my hometown. So other than that, and because I have quite a few properties right now, and I'm focusing on building what I have. Um, you know, have quite a few properties. So just I'm not really motivated in buying a whole bunch more properties with no purpose. But if Baltimore came, that does have a purpose. So, and obviously that's a NFLPA potential city because it's the home of the Baltimore Ravens. So there's a chance they may release this area.
Right, right.
That
Um, Let me ask you this then. As we're looking at the metaverse per se, and you said that you no longer do property flipping. We all know that there's a lot of different strategies that one could use, right? What's your upland strategy?
I mean, I'll say I do flip properties, but it's not a big portion of my game. The majority of my properties are not listed. I may have a few in there that are listed, and really I need to go in and take them off the market. My strategy going forward is in the things that Upland gonna be releasing. I'm getting into manufacturing. I'm working on Blender, getting good with designing 3D objects, so that the Real Node LA can be this luxurious area that has a whole bunch of just ornaments and just 3D objects available because it has 9 manufacturing plants. So obviously that's going to be a hub of manufacturing, and we'll have first access to these products coming off the manufacturing line. All the neighbors will have first access to these products at a fair price. So I'm gonna be looking to get into NFT sales. Upland initially promised us to have NFT galleries, so I'm still looking forward to having that. Um, we have a block explore shop over in the Real Node that I mentioned, so anybody can kind of list their block explore there. Once that's finalized, they'll be able to list their BEs right there. So this little it seems like in Upland, you're not going to get a lot of big um sources of income, but you may have a lot of micro streams, and they'll add up to something.
Right. So as you're looking at the real node LA, and you talked about factories and meta ventures and stuff like that. Do you see the real node LA more as a manufacturing hub, or do you see it more as a retailing hub? Which I the distinction I'm trying to make is, do you see more factories coming up, or do you see more showrooms coming up in real node LA?
I see both. Actually, the plan is to have the corresponding amount of showrooms to the factories. Because like I mentioned before, if you can't really leave, if you make the Real Node LA your home address and you don't have a vehicle and it's kind of tough to get around, you still want to have access to the cream of the crop of the metaverse. So it's almost like a not a dome, but an area, a self-sufficient area that will have an equal amount of shopping. So you go there and think of it as a big shopping district. The manufacturing plants are separate from the neighborhood, so it's more attractive. It keeps the area looking nice. So you won't see manufacturing all up in the neighborhood. You're going to see showrooms in the neighborhood. So when you go there as a visitor, it's about showrooms and shopping. You won't consider the manufacturing.
So as a selfish capitalist, let me ask you this question. Don't you think it's a smarter choice to have the manufacturing in a neighboring neighborhood, a neighborhood right next to the Real Node LA, and just have the showrooms in Real Node LA?
The good thing about El Sereno is that it's one of the largest, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree. However, El Sereno is so big that the manufacturing zone of the Real Node LA is below some train tracks in an actual manufacturing zone in the real world. So where you see our manufacturing plants, they're really in the they are the real manufacturing plants in the real world when you look at them on Google Maps. And then above that is the actual neighborhood. So I followed actually the Google Maps, how it looks. So on the map, there's some train tracks, and then there's manufacturing separating it, and obviously there's like a Jersey wall, keeping it nice and tight. But when you look at the core of the Real Node LA, you don't think of manufacturing. You just see the shop. You see a large showroom and a small showroom.
Right. So as a person, let's say someone's listening to this interview, right? And they're like, okay, I like what I hear. I like Elijah. He seems like a genuine guy. I want to bet behind him. And in order to do that, I would like to buy one or two or five properties in the real node LA. So is it still possible to buy into the real node LA, or is that something that is a gone opportunity?
No, actually, since El Sereno is one of the largest neighborhoods in LA, it's still mintables available. So you can either mint a couple of properties right near the racetrack. Obviously, the direct racetracks are gone, but you could be a neighboring property. It means that there's the racetrack properties that are sold, but literally one property behind it are available. So if you have, you'd be able to see the races from your property, depending on the angle you're looking at if you're in VR.
Right.
So yeah, you can rent some, and there's some fair prices over there too. As far as properties, there's some fair prices you can get.
Okay. Let me ask you this question then, since you say that you do want to represent the real world. Do you think ever in future we're going to have election campaigns that right now you guys are having the midterm elections in US, and in 2024 you have the general election as well. Do you see ever politician coming and campaigning in the metaverse?
Oh my goodness. I sure hope not. No. I think that we could get a lot of amazing stuff done without spending too much time campaigning. Campaigning costs a lot of money. That could have helped out a lot of people, advertising and such. So I sure hope a lot of, money and effort isn't spent in it, and that same energy is applied to making the space better. That same space could be applied to, you could buy a block of houses and give them to, a shelter or something.
Absolutely. Do you think Web3 and Metaverse are helping address issues such as social justice or um, social mobility, social economic increase in income inequality, stuff like that? Do you think Metaverse or Web3 is A, helping or will be able to help going forwards in that regard?
I think people that use the internet to elevate their platforms are going to use the metaverse to elevate their platform. So whatever you're into on the internet, I guess that's just Web 2. So I can see Web 3 being able to support people's ideas and things like that. And that comes to a big point. I was just saying in the cafe, we have to be good stewards over the space, because this is a space that kind of connects the physical and spiritual sense of things. And you want to be a good steward over the space and not allow certain things to enter the environment. Um, with that being said, you can kind of use your imagination with that, just being a good steward over the environment.
Absolutely. So if I was to ask you, and let's talk a little bit specific about Upland, but feel free to sort of hone in on the Real Node LA. If you were to extend an invitation to one of the celebrities, or let's say more than one of the celebrities in the entire world, who do you think you would invite to join the Upland Metaverse?
Hmm. uh, I would extend it if I only had a few invites. I think we'd have to get some some of the vocal people here that would raise awareness to the environment. So maybe you would need Steve Harvey. Uh, you would need who else? Somebody that people that you could take serious. Um, vocal celebrities. I can only Steve Harvey comes to mind right now. Um, I'm sure there are other celebrities that I should have said. Forgive me for not coming up with them right now. But that was the first name that came to mind.
If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you think what's being discussed is nice and you'd like to join the discussion, please comment below. And if you'd like to stay updated, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you. Since Chicago is in the metaverse, do you think President Obama should come to the Upland Metaverse?
Yeah, I definitely think he should come to the metaverse. I think he would enjoy it. He would spend a lot of time probably treasure hunting upstairs. He'd take his quiet time and treasure hunt as most of the dads do. You know,
Absolutely. So, President Obama, if you're watching this, this is a formal invitation for you to join the Upland Metaverse.
true.
Ab- Absolutely. So let me ask you questions about metaverse and Web3 in general, looking outside of Upland. We in the world face a lot of issues. Every country has their own issues that they face. Some are bigger, some are smaller, some are advanced nation issues, some are developing nation issues. Are there certain issues that you have highlighted that you think the NFT technology or the Web3 technology or the metaverse technology can help solve for society as a whole?
Well, um, yeah, I mean, of course, I think it could be used for the greater good, and I think it should be. Is it going to solve every problem right away? No, but I think you can take steps to make incremental changes. For one, it creates communities, among a digital space. So if you have communities, these people are probably willing to assist each other in real life too, if it ever came down to it. With that being said, I think it causes us to look at people different, in a good way. Um, you appreciate people's efforts, when it comes to Upland, because everybody's dollar is not the same. Each country that comes on board in Upland, 1,000 UPIX to them may be a little different than 1,000 UPIX to someone in this country. The value, the cost to get that UPIX may be different. So you got to appreciate everybody from every locale. And this platform could, potentially create a level of almost a respect among people, as far as appreciating the effort that they put forth to come here. Um, just looking at, just the different countries that are here now.
Absolutely. Do you think Upland should diversify away from US dollars? Because everything's in US dollars. But as you, especially as you want to grow internationally and you see the US dollar being more and more expensive as compared to other currencies, if you then think from an international perspective, a lot of people outside of US have to pay that exchange rate to exchange their currency into US dollars. Do you think Upland should work with Tilia where they can accept the payment in local currencies without having to convert them in US dollars? Do you think that's something that Upland should sort of consider?
Um, as far as that kind of gets deep, as far as money across seas and things, depending on where Upland is located and getting into their regulatory requirements, I think they should come up with provisions to help um, mitigate certain costs for different countries, so that it's not as difficult for one person to get 5,000 up. If you don't want someone to have to spend a whole week's worth of wages to get 5,000 UPIX, all of the fees that they have to pay just to get the UPIX. You don't want them to get involved in that. And I think that's where the digital currency is going. I think it's kind of headed that way to where you can kind of bypass a lot of the fees, a lot of middleman fees associated with transactions. So whether Upline does it or whether it kind of irons itself out and happens naturally, I just think it's going that way.
Right. So as you're looking at Upland, and well, Upland's doing some great work, but if you were today to give sort of um, a review of Upland to someone as an outsider who doesn't know anything about Upland, what's a review that, according to you, you would give in a sentence or two for Upland?
Sentence or two. I'd say Upland is and just as brief as possible. Upland is related to digital currency and NFTs, and it's more of a platform than a game, but it is a gamified platform. So when you play it or when you access it and you find yourself playing it, don't get bored easily because it's more of a platform than a game.
Right. Do you miss the auction house? Because we haven't had one for a while. So,
Do I miss it? Do I
yeah.
do I I haven't purchased anything from the auction. I've been to auction house before. It wasn't it was interesting. It wasn't my thing. I like everything, all of the additional extracurricular activities because the more thing activities that are in Upland, the better it reflects on your portfolio. So I liked it for that reason, but I'm not really into those type of auctions like that.
Okay. Do you think there is an opportunity for an Uber in Upland where if you have a fleet of, let's say, 25 cars, do you think when sends do go away and people do need the cars to travel around, which has been talked in the AMA by both Dirk and Idan and even X1 and the team, do you think that is something that people should prepare for right now and because that is a change somewhere in the distant future. We don't have a date, but that is coming. So do you think people should prepare for it?
Absolutely. Either prepared to have a vehicle or you will be calling the Uber rideshare. The Upline has already stated that that rideshare will be in Upland as well as you can look at the vehicles and they have a passenger capacity on them. So you can tell how many people your vehicle can hold. So just looking forward to the future, how will these vehicles be powered? They said spark powered. How far will Spark get that vehicle? And then that's where you'll get the cost of the ride. How much spark did it cost for that person to power that vehicle to get to you? And I think that's where it will come in at. Is it worth it to catch a Uber somewhere? Yeah, especially if it's a city opening and this person can transport you straight to the heart of the city. That may cost you 10,000 upix or so. I don't know what it would cost you, but just to get transported beeline directly to your minting spot, how much is that worth to you? So I think that's where things like that'll come in.
Yep. So as we look at the different vehicles in Upland, you have a van, you have a sedan, you have an SUV, you have the semi truck, you have a sports car. Which one out of these do you think would do the most immediate ROI? And if you were if money wasn't an issue, which one, if you could only choose one, which one would you choose?
Okay. If money wasn't an issue, I'd have my buddy SA's Series One, but obviously he's gonna hold on to that nice and tight. Um, but I'm just playing SA. Shout out to you. I just purchased one. Secondary. I purchased one from. Shout out to Martinez. Purchased one from him, which was the Series One, the green Series One. So I like that one. As far as ROI return, coming back, I think the semi is going to get you the best ROI and has the best prospective, uh, return on investment with it, depending on, because obviously you're going to be carrying a load. Upland has promised to give everybody a trailer to go along with the semi trucks. So
Yep,
that lets you know that you're going to be able to transport a certain type of load. And when they turn that mechanic on, that's when that truck becomes almost priceless.
absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to the next section of our interview, which is rapid fire questions. And I'm just gonna send you questions your way and would love to hear your answers. Why Upland? Why do you think Upland is gonna be the metaverse to beat them all?
Because they have the most daily active users of all of the metaverses right now, and actually exponentially more than some of them, 3 and 4 times the amount. And they're mapped to the real world. They've been stress tested for a lot of the largest cities. So this metaverse is actually packaged and ready to go.
All right. One feature suggestion you have for Upland.
One feature suggestion would be to um, put the in-home utility in the home swiftly and make it so that you can line the walls of the home with NFTs of your choice that you drag in, as well as align the walls of your home with HTML code that would put a YouTube television set, basically a television set, a YouTube video framed in a TV set, you know. So things like that allow HTML scripting inside of the home to where you can run all the HTML script of your choice, similar to MySpace back in the day.
Right. Um, an underrated player within Upland that you think helps the community a lot, but isn't appreciated enough.
There's a lot of people like that, man. I almost want to say forgive me for not naming so many different people, but there are some underrated. Okay, underrated player of the day, Maziaka. That's Mossy Jake, man. Mossy Jake created the that's his warrior name is Marciaka. But um he created the Spark Exchange, and basically you can rent out people's Spark, man. And you can also rent your own Spark, real-time reports, all kinds of things that make Upland more functional, and that actually helps build Upland much faster than it would build. I think it increased the surface build of Upland exponentially. So that's why I had to say that one first.
Okay. When do you think we can realistically expect 3D?
I think um, the harder we press, I think it's possible to have it almost now in real time because Upland gave the developers network access to it, and you have people like Friendlands who creates Upland cafes in VR. So if somehow these things can tie together, we can have it now. But as far as it being practical on our app, VR or phone, a selection in app, maybe the end of next year, if that.
Okay, great. So let me ask you this question. Um, we recently know that Upland has tied up with Color Games. What's your opinion on that?
I think that was a good move with Gala. And just, I was in the cafe, and everybody we rushed over to Gala and checked it out. We ended up in this game called Town Star, which really I don't think applies to the deal, but we checked out Town Star. But I ended up digging deeper into the Vox. So the deal was with Gala Vox, and I think that's a phenomenal deal. Just being able to create Gala worlds and bringing those worlds in the upline where you send your block explorer to this world. Next thing you know, we're kind of all hanging out in that voxel world. And I like the potential of being able to take block explorers from upland over into a voxel world, as well as bringing voxel avatars into upland. So these two interchangeabilities is just a step forward for this place becoming extremely busy.
Let me ask you a very cheeky question then. Do you think in future ever we would have maybe a limited one-off event, but we would ever have treasure hunting, upland treasure hunting in walks?
And you're saying in real life, like VR mixed reality, or you
Uh,
saying
I
with
mean,
your avatar walking through the city?
even let's go with the avatar because that's the easier one. But
Okay,
do you think ever we would have treasure hunting, upland treasure hunting, but in walks?
I think we will. However, walking treasure hunting would only probably only benefit a person if they kind of tail spawn in a sense, because remember, you're gonna have people with cars. And if you're running to a treasure with your avatar and then somebody just zooms right by you, and then jumps out the car and then gets that treasure, that'll kind of motivate you to want to get a car fast.
Absolutely. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you think what's being discussed is nice and you'd like to join the discussion, please comment below. And if you'd like to stay updated, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you. So let me ask you a question. According to Gartner, by 2026, 25% of the world population is going to spend 1 hour in the metaverse daily. 2026 is about 4 years away from right now. Uh,
Okay.
so with that happening, we do you see Upland being impacted significantly, and do you think it's going to be a positive change, or do you think it may be a negative change?
I think with of course we have the consortium, Open Metaverse Alliance with Animoca Brands, and Animoca, their owner, is his name Yatsu, or
Yeah,
I can't think of it.
yeah,
Okay, so he tweeted that they intend to bring a whole lot of users into the metaverse. So they're going to run a strong marketing campaign to bring a whole lot of users into the metaverse. Um, and I think, Upland being a part of that consortium, that would be a great time to be like a fisherman with your net out and kind of bring in the new users, because that's when the harbor would be full of the most fish at the time. Of course, they're coming for the metaverse in general. They're going to be just like we were when we first got here. We didn't know where we were, and you can get pulled almost in any direction. And you don't want them to get pulled this way and that way and spin their wheels and just abandon the metaverse theory altogether. You definitely want them to have some structure, and that's the thing. Upland has the cafe, and they kind of structure this environment. Help, the cafe, the collective knowledge that's there. It helps you structure what's going on. You can ask questions directly, and that's the best thing to be able to do is when you come across something, is to be able to ask that question on the spot. How do I send? You log in real quick, people talk, excuse me, y'all, how do I send? How do I send from one place to another? Or how do I get on the airplane and go to this treasure hunt that's in San Francisco? So the cafe helps out with that. YouTube helps out, but yeah, I think that's good for the environment.
absolutely. Um, what's your opinion on open versus closed metaverses?
Okay. Open Metaverse, which is where we are, the Open Metaverse Alliance. We kind of have ownership here. So when Layer 2 comes in, let's say if Rockstar comes in, and Rockstar is making Grand Theft Auto in the real world now. So the games used to look like New York. Now they are New York
I
and
hope
LA.
people are now going to steal vehicles in real world, though.
Right, right. Me neither. I don't want to be crazy out there like that. But they may have, that type of GTA in Layer 2, or that simulated environment. It may not be GTA, but it might be, that same engine without all of the violence and stuff. You know what I mean? So I think that would be good to own in that. That's an open metaverse. They're playing a Layer 2, and next thing you know, they go past your whole community, and you have your ornaments up, and they're doing a mission, but you happen to still see your ornaments up. That gives you a level of ownership. Whereas Facebook, as of now, Meta, they are that closed metaverse where you don't really own anything there. You can participate in it, go in and out of the world. You can create there. You can't export your world from Horizon Worlds into Upland, or you can't own anything in there. You can't own the trees that you plant and things like that. So I think Meta definitely should jump on, especially since they released these new Oculus Quest Pros. That though their new goggles would be perfect for Upland, and I've stated that on several of their posts. So hopefully they jump on board and make it fun.
Right. So let me ask you a question tied to that then. Do you think centralized metaverse is the future, or do you think decentralized metaverse is the future? Because Upland's centralized, but then you have other metaverses that are decentralized.
Upland is centralized right now. They eventually, with the Ethereum bridge, hopefully, it seems as though we're poised to have all of our assets in our own personal wallets, giving us our own space, kind of decentralizing us in a sense. So hopefully that goes forward. I prefer to not be locked into any one particular API with my assets. I like them to be able to go all around. And that's where we're kind of positioned to do.
Absolutely. Um, there are a lot of opinions that divide um, the community, right? And a lot of people think that spark inflation is real. Do you think spark inflation is real?
Mm, I think the value of Spark is going up, and it is done by design. So, however you look at that, Spark started off as valuable. It took a little dip, but now the value of Spark is going back up, which means that the availability of Spark is less. Meaning, when I hunted on Spark Week, the types of treasures that I got 20 Spark treasures. Out of the 20 Spark treasures, maybe 17 were the minimum Spark. So previous months, only a few would be the minimum Spark, but now almost all of them are the minimum Spark, which means that it's harder to get Spark, which makes it more valuable.
Absolutely. If there is a new player right now watching this interview, and you're sitting here, you wanna suggest a resource where a lot of these new players can learn things. Perhaps looking at different broadcasters who give information out regarding Upland or Metaverse as a whole. Where would you point out those new players to?
I would say formulate your question, whatever question you have, because that's how you'll learn each question. You're not going to learn your whole gameplay strategy in one video. So come up with a question, whatever that question may be. How do I how do I get more spark in Upland? And type that in YouTube, and that's going to come up. You're going to see a certain amount of users that's going to answer that question directly. You can say, "What are the property floors in Upland?" And somebody named Blue Rain will pop up. Zarina's Guides. She's in the Real Node LA, but she does the floor of the whole Upland every day. So she'll outline to you what's valuable and what's not. So um, YouTube contains a whole lot of valuable information, for your journey on Upland.
Absolutely. And with that, that brings us to the end of this interview. However, before we conclude the interview, Elijah, is there a message, a parting message that you have for the people watching the interview?
All right, my parting message is the most two important things that somebody asked the Lord, and they said his response basically was to love God with all your heart and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So with that being said, that's going down at the Real Node LA. Come on over and be a part of the community where neighbors actually show some love.
Thank you very much. That was Elijah from the Real Node LA. This is the end of the seventh episode of Reading Between the Lines with Tan the Man. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Viewers, before we conclude this interview, as always, I have to say our motto, which is "You be the arbiter of truth," the viewers of the Metaverse Street Journal. Thank you very much. Thank you, Elijah.
Thanks, man. Thanks. It was a good time. I hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you think what's being discussed is nice and you'd like to join the discussion, please comment below. And if you'd like to stay updated, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you.